You're listening to the Retina UK Talking Home and Garden Peer Support Group meeting recorded Tuesday the 14th of April 2026.
Right, well, I'd like to welcome you all to tonight's Retina UK Peer Support Meeting Home and Garden edition. Welcome to you all and a happy gardening day, I believe it is. So we were going to have two speakers on tonight, but one of our speakers had a bit of a personal emergency and can't make it. So Scott's very kindly going to fill in from us. Scott's from Canada, and I'll leave him to tell you his own backstory. But if I'm also, yeah, my name's Brian, and I'm hosting this meeting along with Steve. Would you like to introduce yourself, Stephen?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm just here, sort of a bit of support for Brian. I don't really know a lot about gardening. It's more the home side of it that I know, sort of making sort of window boxes or bird tables or that type of thing. The gardening I'm not so keen on, but so I mean it's the title is home and garden, so the home side of it is more my thing. But yeah, I'm happy to pitch in wherever I can.
And feel free, guys, to pitch any questions that is on both topics, both sides of it. So I'll just hand you over to Scott, who's going to share with us for a bit for as long as you want, Scott.
Yeah, now the pressure's on. I have to fill.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a shy guy. I don't like to talk. Hi everyone. My name's Scott. Some of you would have heard me the Canadian accent over Retina UK over the past 4 years or so. My general background is I grew up in Ottawa, born in Cornwall, Ontario, which is on the St. Lawrence River. I always liked the outdoors. My last job was a land surveyor, so laying down roads and property pins and doing that sort of thing. But I have had jobs when I was younger in the forestry, in a bank, which I didn't enjoy, so I wasn't there too long. And at age 13, I don't know how it happened. I guess my love of nature and things, I started to garden. Primarily started with a vegetable garden, vegetable and fruit. Um, and since I have a home, uh, moved on to both. Um, Currently, I have just gotten rid of the rest of the snow, but we are a month away here in Ottawa. We call Victoria Day, which is Queen Victoria's birthday, which I was surprised you don't celebrate in the UK. We do. It's the third week roughly in May, and that in Ottawa we call our planting weekend. That's when it's warm enough to put our young seedlings or those that we seed right into the ground. So we have a short growing season, and that's one thing I will mention. No matter where you are in the UK, whether it's Scotland, Ireland, Wales, or Britain, uh, your conditions to grow are different in each region. Um, those of you that get snow will probably have a shorter growing season. I will add, though, that my 4 years in London, I was balcony gardening. Um, had some vegetables, basically by accident, potatoes, but it grew radishes and cherry tomatoes and herbs. It was very conducive, and hot peppers, very, very conducive to uh, leaving things out on the balcony all year, which surprised me. My herbs, most of them, other than the chives and the thyme, uh, they were growing all year round, so I could harvest fresh. So I also later on in life got into a bit of landscaping. It wasn't professional; it was just my own yard. So I put in retaining walls, both with brick or stone, and timber, which we call pressure treated, but I think it's called canonized uh, wood in Britain. So my terminology might be off. If you have a question, I can explain it to you later. So um, I put in my own pond, which is now gone. When I lost the rest of my site, I seem to be the only one uh, enjoying the fish in the pond, so I removed it. Um, and there you go. That's basically my backstory. I will say again, know what you're growing. If you're new to gardening or want to try it, um, we call them nurseries. I don't think you call them nurseries. The flower stores where you can go buy your trees and plants. What is the name of that
We would
in
call them
the
nurseries as well. Yeah.
nurseries
Yeah.
as well? Okay. Yeah, I always said, could I get, I want to find a nursery in the area, and I end up at a young kids
Children.
school or
Yeah.
so because they
Mhm.
are called nurseries here as well sometimes. But I
Yeah.
said, no, I want plants, not young children. Not that I don't enjoy them, but so and anyway, so if there are any questions, go ahead and ask. I've got a big job. We've been in this house for 30 years. So I'll be taking apart some brickwork that has one thing I have here is ground frost that penetrates about a foot to 18 inches, depending on snow cover. This year it wouldn't have gone down as much because we got a lot of snow. Snow actually insulates. That's Eskimos, and I'm going to be in trouble for saying that. We can't, uh, indigenous people now we call them. They would make their igloos and sleep in a snow hut, which are very warm inside once they're built, and you could even make a fire in them. So that's how they used to live uh, under the snow. So most of you, I don't think. Brian, do you get frost where you are in the ground, or is it just surface frost?
It's not deep penetrating frost, but we
Yeah.
do get. I just lost me and a couple Kim, who's actually on the call. We lost a lot of plants this year because I got overexcited and put them out too early. But
Yeah, there,
I'm
that's yeah. So your perennials usually are protected, even if ground frost. They're just meant that so flowers that you can stick in, they come back every year. They usually are protected, even though we get a deep penetrating ground frost. Um, but if things that you put it like any of your vegetable plants, if you have tomato plants, if they get touched by the frost, you're generally going to lose them. And I remember people asking, Scott, you have sheets in your front yard and plastic bags. And I said, yeah, we're supposed to get frost tonight. And I planted too early.
uh,
We sometimes will get frost into June. It's very unrare, but you have to watch your overnight forecasts if you plant. So you're in the beginning of mid-April, and you've planted. It's best to watch your weather app and just see. They're talking about it going down to 0 degrees tonight, or 2 degrees above, but they're calling for ground frost, and it just has to touch the leaves on top, and you'll lose, especially the plants that are very delicate leaf. So, um,
you
and
just
as
mentioned the fact you put sheets. Would you put like bed sheets on top?
Yeah, it was a bad cheat. Yeah, I used my tomato. I had a little garden fence that I built out of old cedar rail. The farms used to build their fences out of cedar trees,
Hmm.
and they look really nice as they age. I think so anyway. So I had a cedar rail fence in my front yard, and then I'd use stakes or whatever. And all you want to do is make sure that the ground frost doesn't settle. So it was an old bed sheet. Doesn't look very nice, but it's only on there from
Hmm.
whenever you put it on, 7 o'clock at night or 5 o'clock at night till the next morning. Um, and you take it off again. So it's just to stop that ground frost from falling. So if you're in an area that has ground frost, um, surprisingly, plants that are perennials or that have already sprouted, they survive it. They're tough enough, most of them. I've had tulips come up when I still have a foot of snow on the ground in areas along the edges where it's melted back, and then we get another 6 inches of snow on top of them. Yet the tulips survive and still in flower. So Mother Nature again, has its way of protecting in different ways. But we've cultivated so many different and brought in flowers from around the world uh, that they're just not used to that cold weather and they can't take it. So, are there any questions at this point in time about building retaining walls? I will say on building with bricks or wood, um, I said I had a big challenge this year. I've got one of my timbers that is rotted. I'll have to replace that. I think I'm going to try and replace it with stone this year. I've just found out, and I know you do have Facebook around the world. Marketplace, it used to be Kijiji in Canada, but Marketplace now, I've just realized that people build and they get pallets of bricks for their pathways or their retaining walls, and they might have five left over or six, half a pallet, or they don't want it. I want it, which upsets my wife because that means I have to store it somewhere. But um, most of my retaining walls are built from stones that I received from other people. I didn't pay. I had to pick them up, or they'd even deliver them, but I didn't pay for them. And if you get enough of them, you can build your little stone or retaining walls or flower beds. You can make raised beds out of them. Um, so I take a look there. Surprisingly enough, there's a lot of free materials, um, even for in-house now. Unfortunately, people don't want antiques and stuff anymore, but a lot of furniture. Sometimes there's some timber that's left over, and people that won't build, Stephen would probably take it for building uh, uh, flower boxes and birdhouses, but they don't want it. They don't want it, so they said, "Come and get it." Um, so you're repurposing as well. So
I've got a quick question on the the raised beds that you've made. I started my gardening maybe, I don't know, six, no, it's over 10 years now.
yeah,
I got but and mainly I grow vegetables,
yeah,
some flowers and fruit trees and stuff like that there, but mainly vegetables. And I built some raised beds out of we call it pressure treated wood as well. They're
okay,
more
yeah.
like railway sleepers.
Yeah,
And I
the old, yeah. We used to get a lot of those, but they were filled with creosote, so they're banned now. You can still find them. I don't recommend anymore using it because they're full of carcinogens, but you still can get the newer ones that uh, I think it's 15 years in the UK. They've my building was 15 years old, and that's right about the time they banned it because my deck was built with uh, timber with creosote in it. I think builders will get away with what they can or old stock. So anyway, your question is,
well, it's I had to start building those raised beds because it was getting out of control. So I tried to minimize the area that I was growing in so that I could maintain the weeding
yeah,
and stuff you have to do and tend to the plants. Is there
yeah.
any other ways you've come across for, helping folks with, especially folks with visual impairments? Because I have to keep them in a small area because if I don't keep a track of where my plants have been placed, I'll pull them because I think it's a weed.
Yeah, well, even I occasionally, my wife will hear me uh, voice a few words of that most of the public shouldn't hear because I've pulled and I did I was remiss that I did forget I do co-host a gardening show once a week with John Bell, he's off the coast in Vancouver. And we talk about different ways for visually impaired and blind to avoid these problems and weeding problems. I don't know that you need to raise the bed to control it. But there's different ways of you can mulch heavy. When I was in the country, I'm not anymore in the countryside. I had a horse ranch down the road. I would get the horse manure and place it between the rows once I'd planted. Now you have to make sure it's away from the plants, but I could use those as walking plants, and I put it on quite thick. It kept the weeds down. Um, I would say you can buy some cloth material, and I can't remember the name of it, but you can put that down. Now, again, in gardens, soil will bounce on top. Same with your bricks and your pathways. You can put stuff under or block the weeds, but once the soil, the wind, whatever blows on top, you'll get weeds and seeds that blow around that'll start to invade on top. A mulch, not a heavy mulch, but a mulch, you can get wood chips now, and I do warn you, if you're getting wood chips, your cities might, or different, if you look around and call arborists that come and do tree pruning and mulching and stuff, they might bring you a load of chips that you could. Now, you want them to rot in the off season, or you just mix them into your soil, or you rake them off at the end of the season. Keep those that haven't rotted, depending on what thickness they are. But the warning I will say, if you buy them from a gardening shop, don't get them with any dyes or paint mix, because that will eventually leach into your soil. So you want just natural product in there. As far as the plants and not picking them and weeding, um, always stake your. I'm not sure what veg you're growing, but um, once the plants are up high enough, you should know like what a carrot, a beet is. Tomatoes, obviously, if you're planting tomatoes by seed, which you wouldn't be doing straight into the garden, you're best to start those in the house where you're living. Uh, because if you don't have a long growing season, you're not going to. I always buy my seedlings, stake those well, even if you have to use. I used to use my son's hockey sticks, which aren't as nice looking, but I even used a few white canes that had been well past their use to use them as stakes. Um, and you can support your plant against it. Um, if you want, there's all kinds of different ways to. They do have tags that you can now buy, but I don't use those for identifying the way tags and stuff like that. But um, if you have old hose or whatever, you could lay those down. It's always at the beginning of the season when I have trouble weeding. Um, I don't know if I'm answering your question, but
No, you are.
you can buy tomato cages or get tomato cages. Again, look always look on Marketplace or something like that. People they're done gardening, or they've had a parent pass away and they have leftover tomato cages that will protect a lot of your flowers too. You can get them in different heights. I would just cut them off. I had wire cutters and I'd cut them off. I didn't like the look of them at a flower, so I'd drag the different branches off to hide them as best. But they would support, depending on where you are and your coverage. If you needed that support from rain, um, that's a nice little trick. Or just to mark your plants that are single growers, like a pepper plant, tomatoes, uh, stuff like that. That way you eventually will feel the stem of your tomato per se. So you'll know that anything around that tomato out to the cage, or once it's up, you know, tomato is once you've learned how to feel what they are. Um, and if you're not sure, wait and you know, get a girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, get the children involved and say, could you come help me for a second and discern, is this plant or is this weed? Um, so uh, keeping your rows straight, you can lay down a line at first, say you're planting carrots, beets, beans, just lay an electrical cord, a piece of rope. I usually tie a stake at both ends and tie the cord between and just make my little groove in the ground and seed away, um, and mark them that way. And then I leave the stakes in there for my rows. Uh, if you have what Ryan's talking about, a raised bed or a smaller area, um, if you're like me, you tend to overplant. So until things are up, um, you know, you're going to have a bit of a problem. Once things are up, then you know. And I don't, when I'm planning my seed rows, you want to be, especially with the cost of seeds these days, unless you've saved your seeds, want to be a bit more spacious with them. But little seeds like radishes and carrots, I overplant, and as they start to grow, you just thin in between. You pull them out, and you can use those young carrots, even if it's just like a root. You can use the carrot is a root. You can use the whole thing, clean it up, throw it into your salads, uh, chop it, throw it into your soups. Most people don't like the flavor, but you can eat carrot top. So you can make pestos out of them, or again, chop them. It is a stronger flavor, but when they're young like that, again, you can use them for many purposes. So,
Is there any plants that you would recommend? Say you were brand new to growing stuff, as I know some of our people on the call are.
yeah,
Um, any plants that you would
yeah,
recommend that are almost you're almost guaranteed to success? Because one of the best things that I find about growing plants is when you get a little, if you, especially when you're growing from seed, you know,
yeah,
you get a couple of little shoots come up out of the ground and or in your little pot, and you see
yeah,
them and you go like, this is great. And then the next day they're just a wee bit bigger and a wee bit bigger, and
yeah.
then you have them. So I would like to recommend something to folks that you're almost guaranteed. I know you can never guarantee, but almost
Yeah,
guaranteed that
yeah.
that they will give you something.
So in the veg category, I know when I was in the UK and Lisa, my wife's aunt and uncle lived in Ruislip, so north of London, um, and near half hour from the airport by train, I think. They don't grow carrots because they have I think it's a carrot fly. But in saying that, you could use a product called Remay. It's a fine mesh that you can put over that would probably stop the carrot fly from eating the top of the carrots off. But beets always, well, if we're talking veg right now, any of the seed crops, carrots, I know broad beans do well there, and a lot of people cook with broad beans. Um, uh, which sometimes are called flava beans as well. But um, the green and yellow beans, I call them here. But there's also one in London that John and Kara grew, which is a red. But those are your simple ones. Tomatoes, of course. I would buy little seedlings just to get them up, unless you're throwing cherry tomatoes. Cherry tomatoes will grow like wildfire, and then the next year they'll come back because you won't have picked every cherry tomato, or the little uh, animals that also like to eat them will leave some of their seeds around, and you'll have a patch of cherry tomatoes. They grow very easy and are easy to grow. Um, Again, you got to look at where you are and what little furry creatures you have, because you might have to protect your plants, not just from the bugs, but from rabbits. Um, you do not have skunks in the UK, which is nice. We do. Um, Rabbits would be the big thing for me, but there's also, what are your little deers called? Uh, the really small deers. They're not they're in the deer family, but they're tiny. I forget the name of them, but they seem to be at least in north of London. There's a lot of them, and they can come in and devastate a crop. But you're talking higher fencing for that. Um, as far as flowers grow, I would best ask your nursery for your um, what grows well in your area and is easy to grow. If you want color, I have no more sight, so I'm looking more for fragrant flowers.
Mm.
But you still want to mix because you're amongst people at sea, and um, marigolds, uh, they're a good accent plant or helper in the vegetable garden because they actually have um, natural products or scents off them that will help keep some of your pests away. They call them accent plants. The nursery would know about that as well. Um, if you want to get into roses, there are some roses that are fairly easy, especially if you want the climbers. I had a Henry Kelsey here that actually magazine took a picture of because and I was not a rose gardener. I was not. I just bought a climbing rose to cover my front wall. Roses do require sunshine. Um, I'm not happy to be back away from London because I was amazed at how many roses and how long they would go through the season. Um, so you can get something, just be forewarned. If you're growing a rose on a wall, you will have to put up some type of lattice, either get help or learn how to do it. Um, Mine grew 17 feet tall and was on about a 20-foot long wall, um, and it did fantastic. It flowered from late spring right through to the fall. But you need sun. Um, at least 6 hours a day or a lot of heat on that wall. Mine was a brick wall, so it kept the heat till about 11 o'clock at night, and I think that's why it did so well. Um, there's many different perennial flowers. That's the other thing. If you ask the nursery, tell them you want a low ground cover, you want a higher plant, maybe at the back. Um, Buy plants that are you like, but that will do well in your region. And then you fill in the gaps if it's just a flower bed with um, your annuals, which are plants you have to plant every year. You can go to again. You could start them in your basement. Grow lights and all kinds of grow. You can buy them online or at the I would call it, well, like a Home Depot type of building. Online you can get them, and you get your pods and you start your plants inside. But for a beginner, I would just go and buy a flat. They sometimes come with 6 to 12 plants, and then you can fill in your holes uh, around the perennials that are already growing. So and don't not put herbs amongst your flowers because a lot of those have a really nice smell. I love my rosemary. They flower nicely uh, in, in the springtime. Um, that's another thing to look at. Is it going to be just a springtime showing of flowers? Is it going to flower all summer, or is it just going to flower um, in the fall? Um, And that's what you got to look at too. I grew in London on the balcony just 3 different types of cherry tomatoes, well, 2 cherries and 1 grape, only because I love a beefsteak tomato, which are the bigger ones. The problem is you get a glutton of tomatoes, but it's all at the end of the year. If you're willing to wait, that's fine. But I could go out once the cherry tomatoes started. I'd get 5 to 10 a day, which sufficed for my wife and I. So, does anyone else have questions regarding? I mean, as far as easy plantings in the garden again, cut me off. I know I'm under pressure here. The trying to think of all the other. You can try planting, but again, try planting something that you can't buy at the grocery or that's going to be expensive. Um, you know, I would stay away if you have a small garden from potatoes, um, just because they're going to grow. The plant is fairly large. You can container pot them as well, but you're only going to get that harvest at the end when you pull them out, unless you're like me where you can dig in, pull a couple out, and just let the plant keep growing. And that's what I used to do in my garden. I just scrape a bit of the ground away. I pull a couple potatoes. They're normal. Well, I can't say normal size because potatoes come in many different shapes and sizes, but pull them out and let the plant. You don't have to pull the whole plant out and harvest, because once you've done that, your plant's gone. So, beans are always easy to grow, the green and yellow beans. And there is that other variety.
Scott, you mean the French beans, the round ones?
It's not the French bean. This one started red, but you can't. The French, you know what? It's one thing I've never grown are French beans. Um, I should
I tried
try.
them. I tried them first time last year, and they grew pretty much as well as the normal runner beans.
Yeah, and you did well with them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. So I mean, if there's something you like, and with the cost of veg now, well, cost of everything, I won't say go out and get a dairy cow and a beef cow, because that's a whole different thing. But save on your veg. The other thing you can do with your quicker crops, like radishes, if you like radishes, is every 2 weeks plant them to a certain point. Radishes don't like the high heat. They're more of a springtime, early summer, but you can uh, lay a row of 12 inches and then another row of 12 inches, and just thin them as they come. They don't have to be, full size and grown yet. Um, Pull them at random times, and you can use the leaves in your salads. And even though they're a sharper, pepperier flavor, not everyone likes them, but uh, I would recommend growing a daikon or a Japanese radish. They grow anywhere from 4 inches to a foot, but the leaves on them, if you like a sandwich, the leaf will cover your whole sandwich, and it's got a slightly peppery flavor. It's not overpowering. Um, and again, you can use them in various dishes. You don't have to eat them raw. So, any a dead air. Then, is there anyone that's a new gardener that's worried about getting into it?
No, hi. Um,
Hi.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm I haven't been gardening for that amount for that long, but I've been
Yeah.
growing a lot of things in pots, especially herbs and plants. Um, and
Yeah.
and basically, I was amazed that my parsley. What I did was I actually bought parsley from the shops that were already in pots. Coriander, basil. Basil didn't last that long, but the parsley has actually it's just flourished, and I don't know, it's like a weed, and it's actually been blooming even throughout the entire winter. I was so amazed.
Yeah.
And
Where are you? Where are you?
I'm in Carrickfergus in Northern Ireland.
Northern Ireland. Yeah. So Fantastic. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. No, and then the question I really wanted to ask was about the roses. I bought a rose from the florist down the road from me, and it's developed like a black, almost mold or fungus on the leaves. Do you know how I can get rid of that?
Uh, yeah, and I wish I was more of a rose person. You're probably going to have to, is it a rose bush or a climber?
It's actually, you know something? It's actually spread to a lot of my roses, so it's the rose climbers and the bush.
Yeah, okay. So you're getting a leaf blight or black mold on them,
Yeah.
which tells me that they're too close. They're not getting enough airflow, so the moisture's staying on the leaves. Um, you're gonna have to do some pruning, which I know. How much site do you have?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
You're okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
you should see me pruning without sight. It's fun to. First thing first is you're gonna have to go to the nursery, and I forget what the product's called. You might have to spray. Not everyone likes to spray, but with the black mold or the blight on the leaves,
Mm.
tomatoes will get that too. There's too much moisture. Do you just let nature water for you, or do you water your plants?
In summer,
As
I water, otherwise, I just leave it up to nature because we have so much water in Northern Ireland.
Yeah. So when you're watering in the summertime, do you water from the top or just the base?
Both.
Both. Try and unless you have a sunny day, I do this early in the morning sometimes. I'll water from above just to clean off everything and make everything bright and looking nice again. But generally, you want to water from below, just so the roots, the bottom of the plants are getting water, and that goes for everything. Um, Now, people will say, well, what about Mother Nature? It's been raining here hard. We don't have anything out yet. But it seems to know, and then the sun comes out and dries it off. But when you're watering from a hose, always try. It's a bit more work, but try and you can either get trickler hoses or you do it from below. You just sort of crouch or grab a glass of wine and, kneel down and or stand and just make sure I would have a hose
Yes.
with a long solid nozzle. I they're about 3 foot long. It attaches to the end of your hose, and that way
Yeah.
you don't have to stoop over. You can just put that down, put it on the sprinkler setting like a shower head, and just water the base of your plants and
Okay.
give them a good soak that way. The leaf blight on the roses, um, you will have to do some pruning. Your plants, your climber and your roses are really bushy together, like they're not a lot of airflow through them.
Mm, no, I would have thought that they would be okay, but maybe I'll pull the pots apart a little bit further apart from each other.
Yeah, well, yeah, but even the plants sometimes you can tell the dead wood in the plant from the live wood once everything's if it's green, it's green, you'll know, and if it's not, cut that off and have a good pair of garden shears or what do you call them in the UK? The cutters,
Secateurs.
secateurs. Thank
But
you. Yeah.
I haven't actually pruned them, so you're right. I think you hit the nail on the head. And my last question, sorry to take up time,
No,
is
no, that's fine.
I've grown some vegetables from seeds. So
Yeah,
courgettes,
yeah,
cauliflower, tomatoes, just a couple of veggies.
yeah.
Okay, so they're growing indoors, and then when is the right time to put them outside?
So you get frost in Northern Ireland, right?
Yeah, well, I killed the ones. I killed the ones that I put out too early, so I'm a
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
reticent to put them out.
Yeah, you already know we were talking about that earlier. So
Mm.
um, probably like me, I'm gonna say the third week in May, when the temperatures get warm enough.
Okay,
Um, None of those plants like cold weather.
right.
Um, so where are you in Northern Ireland?
And Carrickfergus.
Carrickfergus, yeah.
Mm.
I mean, it's
Oh,
a
sort of like
smaller.
on the east, on close to the east coast.
Yeah, okay. Um, you're going to have to wait and be patient with it. Now, on a
Mm.
sunny day where it warms up to, what are your temps now? I guess, what do you
10.
get? Yeah, so on a sunny day, you can put them out in a protected area to cut to, because you don't want them to get sunburnt. Believe it or not, your plants can get sunburnt. So put them out on, it's 10, maybe a bit warmer, but in the sun, and then take them back in again. It's a bit more, I don't know how many you have, but the fact that you've grown all this from seed, you don't want your work to go to waste.
No.
And then put them back in. When the ground is warm enough, um, and I could get into, you can buy these ground temperature gauges and stuff. I've never had one. Um, like you, though, I made a lot of mistakes. Not mistakes, they're just part of, climate. Um,
Mm.
I wish I wasn't on I had the extra phone or had someone look up when the planting time. Each zone has areas where you can plant. Like out in the west coast of Canada, they've already planted. They can plant some stuff in the winter and have it for um, spring feed. You and I cannot do that. So, how high are your plants right now?
Probably about 5 centimeters.
Okay, oh, so they're still young. So keep them indoors. As it starts to warm up, gets to 15, then I'd think about start introducing them to the outside. You don't have to put them in. Um, by May, and I'm not familiar with growing stuff in Northern Ireland. So again, go to or call a nursery and say, I have
Mm.
cauliflower, I have tomatoes, I have I forget what
Courgettes.
it
Courgette.
courgettes. Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
tomatoes.
yeah, and tomatoes. Courgette. I had to uh, learn. You guys use a lot of French words for your vegetables
Mm.
because we call them zucchinis here. So um,
Or baby
now that
marrows.
yeah, the courgette does not like the cold at all. Those
Right, right.
plants have delicate leaves. Do not put those out until you're real sure that it's warm enough to plant.
Okay.
If they're continuing to grow in your pots, you know, um, make
Yeah.
sure they're getting light. Do you have grow lights inside, or are you just naturally
No, I've just put
nat
them next to on the windowsills,
Yeah,
so they're
yeah,
getting the light from outside.
they're getting the light there. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's a lot cooler here than it is in London. So,
yeah, so you have to wait longer. You're like me. Like I said, I'm a month away from even thinking about. I might turn the soil over, but um, I definitely have to wait that month. And then you have to be, when you put them out, what's your name, by the way?
Kim Lamb.
Kim, sorry. Kim, um, make sure you watch your weather forecast each night when they first go out.
Mm-hmm.
Just be aware of it. You don't have to be, oh God, it's gonna, just be aware, oh, they're calling for low ground temps tonight, especially with the courgettes, your squashes, your pumpkins, if any of them are growing, the delicate leaves, cukes. Um, those guys do not like the cold at all, and you'll wake up the next morning and your leaves will be uh, turned over, they'll be shriveled, and you go, I've lost it. So the tomatoes, you might get some a bit of leaf damage, but you can live with that and clip it off. Tomatoes are more hardy.
Right.
So I'll try and find out for you. One thing for everyone in the UK is to look at your grow zones. I've just because of climate warming, I've went from a 5A to a 5B, which means I can grow more plants. It's a bit warmer, but I'll try and find out and message Brian and Steve or Mark because they're recording this, but he can send out some information on grow zones and um, you should be
Okay.
able to. I would phone your nursery and that's the quickest way is phone them and say, I'm new to gardening. I've grown my own seeds, and this is what I have. When do we usually put them out? And then
Wonderful.
just be wary of that time because it will. It's not a given date. It's you know our
No, no.
climate is really changing. So
I appreciate it. Thank you so much
yeah,
for your help.
yeah, you're welcome,
Well, it's
and
been
good
so
luck. And
informative. Thank you.
yeah, and let me know when everything's growing. I'll come over for a salad.
With a pleasure. With the herbs as well.
Yeah, and,
Thank you.
and and it is a good trick to someone. I'm not trying to cheat the nurseries, the groceries. Uh, uh, I'm forgetting all the names. Oh, Tesco and Sainsbury's. I used to get all my plants, my basil, my
And little.
my and little, yeah. Little you'd pay £2, £3, up to £5, depending on the what it was, and might have been even less. Like to translate, didn't matter because our dollar's terrible. It's about 2 to 1 to yours.
Mm.
Um, but that's what I'd use. I'd go and they'd have a bunch of basil. I will tell you, Kim, basil is Mediterranean, rosemary is Mediterranean. Um, they grow in sandy, very hot conditions. So basil is one of the ones that you can take it in the winter. My daughters we kept alive. It's still living,
Oh,
but
wow.
they like heat. So on those cool days, your basil, if it's in a pot, just bring it in the house. Not in the summertime, but um, you know, don't put it out too early because you'll lose it.
All right.
You'll lose it real quick.
My rosemary is extraordinary. It's been growing for about 10 years and it's a huge plant. And winter, summer, it's just brilliant.
Yeah, I had to leave mine behind. I gave it to Allison in Wales, and she said it's
Mm.
still growing. And that's
Mhm.
my favorite herb, actually. I'll go out after dinner or in the garden, and I'll just brush my hands through it and pick a couple
Yeah,
leaves off and throw them in my mouth. And yeah, so
beautiful.
yeah, parsley in the summertime, the curly parsley. I mean, I grow Italian as well, but um, to each his own. And I will say it's a lot cheaper to buy from the grocery than it is in nurseries. I'm not trying to take
Oh, no,
business away from
yes.
the you do have to go to the nurseries occasionally for certain things or questions, and I support them. But as far as basil is concerned and those things,
Mm.
why not buy the little pots of it and then transplant it into a
Oh,
bigger pot?
yes. Yeah, we
Yeah,
want to save money for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Mm. Thank
So
you. Thank you. That's
yeah.
great. Okay.
Yeah, well, good luck. Good luck with it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Take care.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah, and I will
And
say, even John Bell, who's co-hosts the show, he's a botanist. He's a and I'm not a Harry Potter fan. What do they call those people that were born up or little hubbles or gobbles or I what my daughter's gonna. He was born up near Annick Castle, and he's a botanist. But he one day his wife Penny had planted a row of carrots that were up, and he came along with his hoe and was weeding and weeded the whole carrot row. So it does happen to the best of them. You just have to be more behaved than I am and move on and let your wife or partner know that you've just hoed up their whole row of carrots. So,
well, does anybody else have any questions for Scott? I have
and
a
he
lot.
built, yeah, I'll continue
I
then. Go ahead. I'll do
I
my
have
best.
a question about the pesky critters.
Yeah.
I suffer badly from both carrot fly and cabbage, whatever.
Okay. The little white fly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those guys.
it's actually it's a butterfly. It's a white cabbage butterfly, white butterfly. Um, Rime is a product that you can drape over your you you put a little tent again or a little you drape over it. So or do away with your white cabbage and just get the red ones. They don't like the red cabbage.
Oh,
But if you put the Rime over, um, they lay their eggs underneath the big bottom leaves. Um,
Mm.
and you, what happens to me is I end up pinching them off because I didn't use the reme. But that would be the best thing, and same with the carrots. Now, John and Kara and Ricelip said we gave up on our carrots, but they weren't covering them. The same with for Kim when she puts out her cauliflower. We have cutworms. I don't know what you call them here. They'll come along. They'll and you know, if you're going to eat my plant, eat the whole thing. Don't just cut it off and leave the plant there. So you can wrap just grocery paper from the bags, or cut off your cardboard toilet paper rolls and plant the young plant with that about an inch down and then an inch up above the surface. And the cutworms cannot go over them, they can't go under them, they can't go through them until your cauliflower grows up above that and thickens out. And you can just leave it there or then take it away. I used to wrap mine in paper and it did the job. I learned that the hard way, but walking out one day and the little guys, it sawed off about 8 of my cabbages and cauliflowers and just didn't eat the rest of the plant. So look for a product. Right. It's called Reme, but it might be called something different. It's a fine mesh. It lets the sunlight through, lets the rain through, but does not let the butterflies through.
Could you spell that for me? Just so
You know what? I'll send it to you because I
yes,
think it's
please.
REMA, but
Okay.
to be honest with you, I've always just known it as Reme. So I'll send it to you. I'll
I'm
send
fed
it.
up little buggers because they just
Yeah,
they
it's
decimate my cabbages every
yeah,
year,
yeah.
and it's
Yeah, we're trying to,
heartbreaking.
yeah, it is. So it's a bit of a pain. And later on, when they're laying the eggs under at the end, once your cabbages get bigger, um, you can pull off those bottom leaves, but you don't want them to get into the worm format because when I grew mine, they'd grow so big, and I used mushroom compost, straight mushroom compost, and it was like a steroid. It's what they grow, the mushroom factories grow their mushrooms in. Um, Great fertilizer. And, my cabbages grew so tight and hard. And so even though I had a few leaves on the outside that were damaged, I you know, didn't have to worry about it.
Mm.
So. But do you just grow the green cabbages?
Yeah, that's what I've been growing for the
Yeah.
last few years, and they get so decimated that they have a hard time balling up, to start growing the heart.
Yeah, they don't
Mhm.
they don't go hard. So where are
Yeah.
you, Brian? You're in
I'm just
Scotland?
no, I'm in Northern Ireland as well.
Oh,
So I'm
okay.
just down the road from Kim. So
Oh, okay.
we're
Yeah, so
level.
there you guys are invading each other once one gets yeah. Yeah, try growing grow some greens as well, but also try a couple red cabbages because they don't
No.
they don't they don't like the red cabbage for some reason. There's something in them that they just do not like. So I'll look into some natural stuff, but I don't think marigolds and some of those other things are that strong. You know, the butterflies know, just like rabbits and squirrels and other varmint know. They learn to adapt and evade and come in from the other side. So yeah,
They're tricky, and I don't like
yeah.
using chemicals on them, to be quite honest with
No,
you.
there
Nothing would
is
be good.
yeah. There are some natural products. Uh, like I don't know if you guys have a grub. You probably do have grubs. There's some natural products out there that are. One of them is oh, my mind's slipping me. I should have been more prepared with the pesticides, the natural pesticides, but you can introduce those into your soil. I know There's some soils you can buy for your potted plants. I'll send a list to Mark. I wish it had it on the video, but of products you can put down. One of them for a lot of the critters that move along the top of your soil, especially for potted plants. Most bugs um, are extra. They breathe through their skin. So the product you buy actually is ground up seashells like shrimp and all that other stuff, and it cuts their bodies. And once their body is cut, they're done for because they don't clot. We got in trouble. One of the ladies in our show the other days, well, those poor bugs. I said, well, there's enough of them. I'm not getting into that. I know there's a lot of environmental save this. We have an infestation of, we're not allowed to kill the rabbits. Well, guess what happens when you don't kill any rabbits? They eventually now we got lots of coyotes, and coyotes are taking pets and uh, chasing small children, and it's a food source. So you know. Uh, I'd rather have less bugs. There's enough of them. We're feeding them. So,
Mm.
any other questions? If anyone was thinking about building a wall for the first time or doing your patios, make sure you talk to someone that has a bit of experience. And tools are necessary, rubber mallets, and uh, I'd stay away from the power tools, have someone help you cut. One thing outside with walls and stuff, if you do make some errors on your patios along the edges or the stonework, we're talking plants. Plants are a great way to hide a bad cut where there might be more of a crack than you thought. Just have a plant that drapes over, that carpets over top of it. So,
That's brilliant, Scott. Thank you very much for your time. I
yeah,
think we're about out of time here tonight.
yeah.
I really appreciate what you
Yeah,
said.
there's
A lot,
no
a lot,
last.
a
Yeah,
lot.
no, that's great. I'm glad. I'll start looking up for the. I believe Rema is REMA, um, and the product might be. I'll Google it and see if that's the name in the UK. But basically, if you call the nursery, say I've got white butterflies that are attacking my cabbage. I've heard there's a product, a light product we can throw over top. Um, that keeps them. I don't like the look of all these things, but sometimes it's just a necessity to do it. And your plant does survive. It lets the light and the rain through, so it just gets rid of those nasty critters. So,
Uh, any
well,
last comments from anyone, guys? Stephen, would you?
Well, the only thing I would say is I've made some raised borders, but what you can buy from various suppliers is softwood sleepers. So they've been
yeah,
treated, but they've not got creosote on them. And you can
yeah,
make borders out of them. They're about, well, in old money, they're sort of 8x4
yeah,
pieces of wood, about 8 feet long. And they
yeah,
seem to work. We've had them in our garden for a few years. I bolted them together with bolts that have got like a wood screw on them and screws
yeah,
sort of through the end into them, and they seem to have held.
yeah. And they last quite a long time before, like I said, my house is 30 years old. The wall, I built the retaining wall because my yard was sloped in the back and I wanted a more level surface. And so it's about 3 feet tall, and the top one is rotted after 25 years. So, that's not a bad thing. And like I said, if you're getting into stones, or even if you just want to make a little border for your garden, you don't have to buy these stones. People have extras lying around and they want to get rid of them. You'll need a vehicle to go and pick them up most times, but say, you might get a nice person that finds out you're visually impaired and say, "Oh, I'll drop them by. I'm only a couple kilometers away." So, and I learned in Colchester that the Romans, why, not just there, they never wasted. So even if you don't have a wall that's all the same color, um, it accents their castle in Colchester. They're the oldest Roman city in the UK. One of the castles there has got all, you can tell the different builders that have got their stones from castles that were knocked down or abbeys that were knocked down. So it's a bit multicolored. So, yeah. Well, good luck with the gardening. It was a pleasure. I hope I answered some of the questions. Keep it simple. Use the internet. Those of you use the internet to find out. Say I mentioned a bougainvillea. It's a nice flowering plant, but it won't grow in Canada. Find out if that plant is even. You can grow anything anywhere. There's crazy guys here that are growing palm trees. They're using old Christmas lights to heat them in the winter. I can't imagine the electrical bill, but I don't think any of us are, willing to get into that. So find out what grows in your area and is fairly simplistic to grow, and then go from there.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. And we'll draw it to a close there.
Okay, well, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. It was a pleasure and I did get a lot out of it, Scott. I mean, I've learned a fair bit tonight.
Okay.
So
Good.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. That was really good.
Okay. You're very
Thanks,
welcome.
Scott.
And
Thank you. Sorry to Sarah from Retina. Thank you so much for that and for spending, and taking the time coming on. That's really appreciated.
well, it did interrupt my nap time, but and now I gotta work up to dinner time. You guys are all done your dinner, so.
Yeah.
We're thinking about bed. I mean, so we are,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, great, super, and we'll see you at the next one. And I'll be interested to see how much you've grown and what's lasted and what hasn't lasted. So.
Yeah, we should have another one in a month or two, I think.
Yeah, so the plants should be well out in the garden and hopefully flourishing.
Hopefully. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bye,
Well, you're
Scott.
welcome.
Thank
Bye.
you, everyone.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
Thanks,
Well,
guys.
thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Appreciate
Thanks,
the
Sarah.
call.
I'll end the meeting for everyone, all right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks.
bye.
Thank you so much. Take care, everyone.
You
You
too.
too.
Thank
Bye
you.
now.
Bye.
Bye.
We hope you've enjoyed this Retina UK peer group recording. If you have any questions or queries regarding its content, or you would like to leave us some feedback, then please do get in touch. You can contact us via a helpline on 0300 111 4000. Call the office team on 01280 821 334, or alternatively, you can contact us via email at services@retinauk.org.uk. If you are interested in creating your own peer support group and assisting Retina UK to grow our peer support group network and join our amazing team of volunteers, then please do get in touch by contacting us at info@retinauk.org.uk and speak to a member of staff to see how you can get involved. Thanks again for listening, and please stay tuned for more peer support group recordings coming throughout this year. Take care and all the best. Bye for now.